as we go higher to service by requirement, all little serve and scraping the barrel, that's also causing a penalty to your nation, since you're pulling people from factories, from different areas to, well, go to the army and fight and die in vain. Okay, hey guys, how is it going? Welcome to another World War Wednesday, where we have a little, well, special episode. I did my kind of tutorial thing a couple of weeks ago, and it, well, didn't go that well. So instead, we decided that we are inviting a very special person to the stream. Say hello.
Who knows which way we're supposed to look now? Hello. Exactly. My name is Fiona, and I'm the community ambassador for Bloodlines 2, and I'm here to learn Hawaii for the first time.
Yeah, God. So you said you had about 20 minutes in the game. We're going to have a very basic setup, but we're going to focus pretty much 100% on war this episode. So we learned that part, and slowly from there, hopefully we can expand upon that throughout, well, I don't know, 2-3 weeks of this. And we're not going to play any one of these nations. So you can just press select country here, and we'll pick on the map instead. And then scroll to the left, and we'll find the great and most powerful country of Brazil.
Ah, scrolling, yes. I was like, do I WASD here? Nope, I'm scrolling. All right, got it.
You press Brazil and then press start.
Cool. This is how new I am. Everyone's like, is this person new? I need to be told every single button. It's all good.
It'll be fine. Like, I'm super excited for this, and I hope you guys are as well. We're gonna see really how to build up a player from the very early beginning to power-hungry mad woman. So you have played the other games a bit, at least. Like, you're familiar with the paradox concept.
Yes, I have played a lot of hours into EU4.
Yeah, that will actually help us quite a bit.
Right.
Since every one of our games kind of go out from the same concept. We have an alert bar telling you this is stuff you can do. We have the toolbar where all the stats and all the important decisions and everything is visible from you from the very start screen. Cool. So we're going to go to war very quickly. And it's going to entitle us to do, well, we need to do a couple things to do that. We need to switch ideology. So right now, pick communist or fascist.
Where do I do that?
No. You just pick right now. We're gonna show each and every step later.
Okay.
What do you want to be, communist or fascist?
I want to be communist.
You want to be communist? Okay, so we have the Purple Revolution, and we need to bring the liberation to everyone in South. I was gonna say Africa there, but South America.
Okay.
So communist is the path to true salvation. But before you do anything, if you press your flag in the top left corner, yes. You can see this is our political screen. We are Brazil. Currently, the non-aligned party is in charge. We have the Estado Novo. If you just check that nice little bar, we have 100 support for our current party and 0% support of our communist. If you look at this scroll bar over here, you can see 0% support of our communist party. We definitely need to fix that. So that's going to be one of our first priorities. Neutrals in this game can't declare war freely. Communists and fascists, they can. So that's of course why I asked why our first step should be it. And since we're focusing 100% on, I want you to be at war at the end of this session, and I want you to have, let's say, taken over Uruguay.
Okay.
So we need to do every single decision that as quickly as possible moves us to that situation. Right here in the top of the political screen, you see something called national focus. It kind of is your guiding path of what can you do in this game, or how can it lead you forward. Brazil, since we're not a major part of the Second World War, have something we call a generic tree. It gives you some basic research bonuses, it gives you some basic factories, some basic political decisions. But if you play something like Germany, they might have stuff like the Anschluss, a historical decision they made in real life, and we kind of guide it. That might be something you want to do to kind of lead your country forward. But since this is generic, it's much more shape your own destiny. And that works out perfectly for us since we want to switch to communist.
Okay.
So the first, like, if we take a quick look at the tree in general, we have army efforts, which are basically, it can give you tech bonuses to your weapons, to your army, to your land doctrines. We're going to go through what each of those things are very, very soon, so don't worry about it. Aviation, naval, they're pretty much the same, but for Air Force and Navy. Then we have industry. It's kind of how you build your other buildings and how you build military stuff like weapons, tanks, airplanes.
Okay.
And then on the far right, we have the political path. And that's what we're going to focus a lot on right now in the very beginning, since we need to kind of motivate your people to embrace the gracefulness and true spirituality that is communism. If you scroll up in the top part, there we go, political power. That's kind of what your leaders can do. It's the political might they have to do different decisions, pick advisors, change laws, and they have a different cost. Right now you gain 2 a day, and to kind of simulate, this is also political decisions just in a way of a tree form to form your path forward. So if you want to make political effort, if you hold over that natural focus, you press there, and then it opens up what this actually will do and what the effect is. Each political thing right here costs 1 political power a day to sustain. So that will cost 70 political power for 70 days, and if you press start right there, finishing that one in 70 days will grant us 120 political power. So technically, we go up 50 political power plus by doing it.
So is that a one-time thing, or is that something we could do again and again?
Yes, if you press on that political effort,
oh,
on the natural, then that's a one-time thing, and it is gonna unlock the stuff beneath it.
Gotcha.
But if you check, we can do a very quick check just here. We're not gonna look into it.
Oh. Fighting.
Panic. If you look here, continuous focuses. Once you have done 10 of the other focuses, it will unlock some you can just keep on forever. That gives you more a permanent bonus in a certain area. And we are right now doing political effort. Why we're doing political effort is because we want to hire an advisor that will propaganda communist support to your nation. So let's just shift down to laws, government, research production, and military staff. That's your current, how your government is looking like. It will show you laws, it will show you cabinet minister, what military officers you have hired. So basically the general bonuses of your nation. You can also see beside your portrait, it says national spirits. You don't have any right now, but that's like affecting your country in general and can be more like France, for example, have something called Victors of the Great War. It makes it kind of simulates how they were overconfident, and it's going to take quite a bit to remove that overconfidence, so they might want to change and update their military tactics than sit in a ditch, pretty much. But if you press, if you actually look at the 3 symbols we have right now in laws and government, it's our volunteer law, how many men you're currently recruiting from your population. So only 1.5% of everyone in your nation is, conscripted to your army.
What's a high percent? What would be considered like, whoa, that's a lot of people conscripting?
You can see from disarmed nation, that's pretty much only United States in the entire world that starts there, right? But the higher we get, the more percentage of our people are recruiting. But as we go higher to service by requirement, all it'll serve and scraping the barrel, that's also causing a penalty to your nation, since you're pulling people from factories, from different areas to, go to the army and fight and die in vain. In general, all decisions regarding laws and advisors and military and production cost 150 political power.
Okay.
There are some small exceptions, but I don't think there are any for Brazil. The one thing I want to look is the next button, the empty government houses. Here is where we want to pick our, communist revolutionary, and he's going to slowly and steadily per day switch, so our nation becomes more and more communist. And that's what we want our first 150 political power come from. Hopefully it gives you a small grasp what you can use political power for.
Yep.
Okay, so now as all and most Paradise games, we're gonna go through like the alerts currently for your nation. And that's gonna pretty much go through all the other buttons you see on the left side. It might be a bit overwhelming seeing, oh shit, I have 10 different buttons there, and then I have 7 different alerts. Holy shit, what's going on? That's kind of how I felt, at least.
Yeah. No, that's how it feels, I think, starting a grand strategy game. It's just like, lots of things. But, we work through them one by one, so it's all good.
Exactly. Yeah, so research. Nice one, Daniel. Yes,
you're good.
You begin your nations with either 2 up to 4 research slots. Okay. Brazil isn't super involved or super high tech during this time, so they start with 2, which is, not that great, honestly. But hopefully later we're gonna fix it if we continue playing with Brazil, or if we're gonna move you over to a large nation once you have a better grasp of Hearthstone. But in the very top, you see many different tabs. That's like all the different things, and we're gonna go through them a bit quickly. So Lando, if you press the first one again, That's infantry. Infantry and weapons are like the main part of every single army in the entire world. No matter if you go 100% focus on tanks, you're still gonna need infantry weapons. It's like the one big affecting factor, and I'm gonna give you a bit of a golden rule right now.
Okay.
Unless you're going to war, well, now, always kind of try to keep your weapons up to date. And when I say up to date, you can see that there are different dates at the top of this, which says, if I show you 1980, 1936, this is kind of when historically these kinds of equipment were unlocked. And if you want to pick and research something that was ahead of time, it's going to give you a slight research penalty. But with some bonuses, if we very quickly, I take control and just show you right here, if we, for example, picked equipment effort, we get a 100% bonus for infinite weapons. And if we had that one, we might be able to pick something that's a bit ahead of time and make it a bit cheaper, so it's actually worth picking it. So you can kind of combine things from different areas to research. But yeah, golden rule, we're going to go to war as soon as we can. And
so we really want to work on this.
Exactly, we want that one straight away. Well, this one straight away. So we can actually start producing the new weapons. So there are 2 different types, I guess, of research. Maybe even 3 different kinds. Some that unlock something you can build, which is like weapons 1, motorized 1, armored cars. That's something you actually research and then you build it to be able to equip your units.
Right.
Then we have the other ones that are more like, this gives your previous equipment and units a bonus. And then we have things that are like in between, which are like rockets, nukes that are, you're not really building it, but it's not really a bonus. Yeah.
just those 2 things next to each other.
Exactly. But yeah, they're weapons and things that are very related to weapons. If you press the next tab, this is something in your division. You can have different modifiers. Think of this like special equipment, special modifiers. This gives your infantry, if you check the very first one, it says engineers. If you press there, if you attach one of these companies to your units, they will be a bit better in moving in like marches. They will be able to get over rivers better. And if you have like military police, they will be able to suppress units. If you have field hospitals, they will survive a bit more. So it's a modifier to your division. So it's not super important, but it can be really, really helpful in certain situations. Next one, armor. It's tanks.
All right.
Yeah, it's tanks. Tanks, cool. It's a new type of equipment. They're pretty nice to have, but very, very expensive for a country like Brazil.
So when you're, this might be going a bit ahead of myself, but when you're tithinking ratios of what you have for infantry to say tanks or things like that, what are you looking at in this game? And artillery and stuff?
I will
or is that thing you don't consider?
No. Like, it's very interesting because, well, I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered right now from all the 4 members and the very hardcore competitive community. But when I play Germany, I try to stay like 80, 90%. And then have just a small, very, very strong quality force of tanks.
Right.
So I can do different breakthroughs. I can surround units with it rather than keep a more massive area of just 50-50. So it's really just this small core elite force I'm trying with.
So, but would you say in general, are people more 50-50?
Well, in general, for normal players, 20% maybe.
Okay,
20,
cool. All right, that makes sense.
Artillery, you attach them to your units. Artillery gives a bit more soft attack, good against other soft target, which are units, not good against tanks. Anti-air, good against, airplanes. Anti-tank, good against tanks. It's something extra. It's like this very common, you have infantry and artillery, and you have tanks. So it's like you kind of combine them together. One isn't really good without the other. So if you do infantry army, you need artillery. Land doctrine, which is next tab. It's kind of what's the general plan of your nation. Mobile warfare doctrine is kind of based upon how Germany fought about war. Quick actions, quick tanks, quick units. Superior firepower, kind of the thought that US had, that you should throw ammunition and not men into battle. So high damage, high quality. Grand battle plan is kind of France, Italy. You sit behind this bunker, you make a big plan, and then you throw everything together.
All right.
So long time planning bonuses. And mass assault doctrine, kind of Soviet Union. Here's a man, go there. You don't really need a weapon, just go to the front line. You'll probably deal with it.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah, exactly. A quick look at the two next tabs are basically naval units. This is both the boats itself and their upgrades. Very, very daunting. So many different options. We'll go through that much later. Next one is land doctrines, but naval doctrines. Same for like boats. Then we have the same for airplanes. It's very similar to the tank tab. It's a bunch of airplanes, and doctrine is the same thing for air and land and naval. What kind of doctrine you had, what kind of plans and thoughts you had around air warfare. Engineering now becomes more exciting again. This is one tab we also take a look at. Electronics engineering, and everything below that. That's like research speed and radar, and that's very quickly what all of those research bonuses are, pretty much. And then we have, of course, the funny one, atomic research and experimental rockets. Very late game tech, nothing we'll look through right here.
Cool.
And industry. Production and construction industry. We don't have to think about synthetic oil right now. We just put it aside, we're fine. But production is how much your factories can put out. So if you have 2 factories and a bunch of production tech, they will be able to produce more than something without it. Construction, how quickly you build something. And industry, that's the bit more difficult to explain. Construction is basically how good are your factories? Like, so you have how much they can do, how good they are, how quickly you can build them.
All right.
So to begin with, the new weapon. Let's get that one set up. Weapons 1. And then you research it. You can hold over... Oh, okay. I was just going to say, you can hold over here, the days up here. To basically see... let's take it right here.
Right.
To see why it costs a certain amount. So we have the base cost, days saved. So we decided that you can save up to 30 days, so you don't need to be constantly on it and like, oh shit, I need to pick a new research. You can take it a bit easy.
All right, okay, nice.
Yeah, so you can save up to 30 days. It's like, yeah, you were researching it, but you hadn't just selected it. The research speed you have on your nation, why that research speed as it is, and if it's any like bonuses like research or if it's out of time. Yeah, and then pick the first one right there. Research speed, always good. Always try to keep it in time. It's just generally nice to have. The quicker you get something done, it's nice. That was a naval thing we looked at. It gives a bonus to a naval piece of equipment. But since we are not going to worry about it, I was like, don't look at it too much. Just last one. Okay, good. We're done with research for now.
Hey.
Here comes the thing that most people are very, very confused about. So if we look at the top tab, where you have
I'll let you hover. I'll let you hover over it. Yep.
So I just quick run through right here. So that was the political power.
Yep.
Next to it, we have the stability of your nation. The higher stability, the more good benefits you have. It gives benefits to political power, consumer goods factory. That's what we're gonna go through. But also how good your factories are, and how resistant people are gonna be once you take them over. Your current war support to your nation. Well, how happy people are and to fight more. How quickly they will mobilize, and how good they will attack or defend on your home territory. And command points, we don't have a look at that right now. Manpower, how much manpower you currently have. How much free manpower, which is very, very important to highlight. This is how many men you can still squeeze out with your current recruitment law. You can see we have 547,000 that still are willing to join the army. Currently in your army, you have 57,500 men. For your Air Force, you have 480. For your Navy, you have 11,000. And that's this. Then it just kind of explains where you get the numbers from, how much manpower you have. And here, factories. This is where we want to get to. So we currently see we have 3 military factories. We have 2 naval and 18 civilian factories. And you can see that some of them are already in use. We kind of did a very, very basic setup for all the nations. So if you started the game right away, you'd have something before you set everything up. Consumer goods. Usually people are a bit confused by it, but hopefully I can explain it a bit better now. So
but where does the confusion come from? What are they confused by?
What consumer goods are and why, and how they pull away from the factories. Because if you just look at the numbers and try to figure it out yourself, it's but that percentage does not, it's not correct.
Okay.
But what people miss is, so you take all your military factories, 3 of them, and all your civilians, add them together, that's 21.
Right.
And if you go back to the very early, we looked at mobilization law, you can see civilian economy requires consumer goods factories 35%.
Right.
But it's only civilian economy that can produce consumer goods. Mm-hmm. So 35% of your civilian industry will be restricted to produce consumer goods.
Gotcha.
But here's the twist. It counts on your total factories, military and civilian, not naval, military and civilian, and takes away from that total number, but only from civilian. 35% of 21, of 21.
Are you going to make us do math on stream? Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Is 7.35, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Boom. So I guess the chat will completely berate me if I was wrong right there. But
sorry, chat.
But it only removes from the civilian, so that's why 7 of your 18 civilian factories are restricted and says in use for consumer goods.
Gotcha.
So if you just took 35% out of 18, well, it becomes something completely different.
Are we completely locked out of doing that? Will the game not let us go below that 7? Or if we do, we'll get a penalty?
We can't, it will always restrict 7 of them.
Okay.
If you, for some reason, would lose more factories, then it would simply be you can't produce anything. You can't produce or you can't actually trade. For trading, we use civilian factories. You borrow one of your factories to get some resources, but we'll get to there. You're going to build military factories, and that's the only thing we're going to build while we play Brazil. So you're going to press there. And then you can see the map changed. It kind of shows you the one of the 2 slots. It's basically how many slots exist in that state left. You can see 2 out of 5, then it's 3 slots ready, and then you can see a number beneath it, which is the current infrastructure value. The higher infrastructure in a certain province, the more supply can run through there, but also it goes quicker to build something there. So we're going to build it in the highest place ever. It's either one of those 50 areas. Oh, one of those 3 50 areas. Cool. And now you see it appeared right there. In Sao Paulo, you are building 1 military factory with 11 out of 15. That's basically, you can at most use 15 civilian factories at one single production area. Let's add 1 more military factory, but not in that area.
Yes. So we're already full here. Or can we still build here?
Yeah, anywhere where it's not blue.
Okay.
Blue basically goes, this is full.
So let's go here.
Then you can see there, it also appeared in the line, but it says 0 out of 15. It's basically you don't have any more factories. It will begin producing as soon as you're done with the first one.
Gotcha.
Now I'm going to show you some tool tips. Just use factories max fast.
Takes factories to make factories.
Exactly. You can see next complete. You can see exact value of the output, construction speed, and the different bonuses and penalties, how much it costs, just everything is listed down here. So you hold over the black bar right here to basically see it. So here's kind of where Hearts of Iron splits from the other games we have. You have played A4 before. You press on an infant unit, you press on the map, and it builds an infant unit. It's not that simple in Hearts of Iron, unfortunately. We have a 2-step progress.
Yay!
Where you need the manpower and you need the equipment it has. So here we produce the equipment the units are having. Right now we have infinite weapons and support equipment being produced. What did I say always fit together with your units? If you had tanks or you had infantry, weapons, and... put you on the spot right here.
I was like, support?
Support, we're producing that.
Yep, and anti-infantry or artillery.
There we go. Nice.
I was like, so just put all the things. Just make them equip all the things.
Yes, I'm stressing you up so you will remember it, because now you're never gonna forget that infantry needs support equipment and artillery.
Okay.
So we're gonna produce that. There's tons of different buttons right here, tons of different stats. Very quickly, here you can see what how much resource you have left. You have 15 rubber you can use. You are already -2 in steel. Like I'm gonna show you that a bit later.
That's not so bad.
What?
It's only -2 in steel. Like it could be...
exactly.
I'm guessing it's a lot more minus.
Let's actually very quickly go through what resources are. Otherwise, it's kind of confusing. So I'm gonna press on the very last one right here.
All right.
Resources are, if you see on the map, you can see we have 4 steel in this state over here. But let's just quickly go back right here. We have 30 rubber right here and 4. But if we have 30, why don't we actually have 30 left to use? Well, that's because of our trade law. Our trade law is currently saying 50% of everything we produce must be put in the global market. And we can't do anything about it. It's only the trade law. If you change it, if you switch it up, then that's gonna be like the current ratio you are split. Remember, tooltips for everything. If you wonder what something is, where some value comes from, there should be a tooltip telling you. So here in the export focus, it says resources to market 50%. Right. But luckily, since we are open nation, we get a lot of bonuses as well, because people are trading, people are using, people are think of it, you have an open market, and of course trading occurs on the small level, the same as consumer goods exist. There are also trade partners in your nation that trade with each other. It's open, it's nice, it's free, so you get some bonuses there.
All right.
But so currently we are extracting 4 steel. 50% of that is put to the open market, and right now our need is 4. We go back to construction right here. That's why we're missing 2 right now. Every single piece of equipment. So we don't have a stockpile of resources. We more have a current need out of what you currently are extracting. So you can't just sit around and stockpile however much you want, but you're kind of using what you're currently producing, extracting. Right. If we look on the far right here, if you skip through everything right there and look on the far right here, 2 steel. And the one below it, it requires 1 aluminum and steel as well, but it's a 0 with a red sign, which means we don't have this steel. We would have to trade for it or do something similar. So each piece of equipment is kind of having an upkeep. It's better if I explain that way. And this is per factory. Right. So for each factory, it has a certain upkeep. If you can see that you have a small little green factory. It means you have one of your military factories assigned to this production line, as we call it. And if you press 1 more on infantry, we're going to remove it, but just to show a point.
I'll let you press.
If you hold over it, you can see
Gotcha.
Adding more factories. But since we just want to add 1, you hold over there, you press, and now you assign 2 factories to it.
Oh.
Yes.
Hold on. Oh, so we wanted 2.
Yeah, just to basically show how it works. Okay. Now you can suddenly
see. We already
had
1. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. Now you can see that we're missing 4. And you can see that number is now red, saying we don't have enough resources for this production line. But let's press back on 1.
Will it just not make it, or will it just make it slower?
It will, on this level, make it slower. If you have a very small deficit in total, it will, think of it, you're stealing from, I don't know, normal industries to put at your military affair. You're still producing it, but very slowly, until you get to a very large amount, which is different depending on how much you are extracting. You will suddenly get a 10% penalty, 20, 30, and then you will not produce it at all.
Gotcha.
But press on 1 factor again. Just remove the current one you assigned. Excellent, cool. And artillery. We want to produce more artillery to this. And okay, I don't have to explain anything. Yeah, I should just sit back right there and just leave, since you know everything.
There's little pictures there. I'm like, I know what that one is.
Okay, cool. So here we can also see in the very top, we see basic equipment, basic input equipment. And we can see on the right corner right here, if we just take control right here, you can see it costs 2 steel to produce.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where the value comes from. That's steel per factory. If you check down there, support equipment, 1 aluminum, 2 steel. And we want to produce artillery. That costs 1 tungsten and 2 steel. If you press there, since you have 1 available factory, it automatically was assigned right there. But you can see we require both tungsten and steel for it, and we're now missing 4 again.
Okay.
So I think we should, since we want to focus on war quickly, and well, quickly-ish, I guess probably should say, since we're talking mostly. I think we might want to trade for that, just so we show off how that works as well. We're going to jump to the very last one right there, insufficient resources. So here's kind of the world market. Of all the resources that I put up to market, everyone's trade laws, every resource, every different tabs for it, and at the very top, civilian factories, how many you have, how many that are currently used, and available. So here, the available are technically the ones you can trade with. You're right now using them to produce your own military factories, but it's still available in the sense of you can trade with it. It will just reduce the number and reduce the speed of how quickly you are actually building your military factory.
Right.
And
so it's okay to do a little bit of both building and trading, or would you want to be like, no, I want to just build and get it done, and then trade and get it done? You're okay, sort of.
Since trading is something you do, like you're borrowing one factory, you're giving it out. It's something that's long term. It's not something you can like be done with. So if we right now do this trade and then explain it behind. So I just press this tab right now to switch to steel, and you can see that US is currently exporting 507 steel.
Woof.
Yeah, tons of it. We have nothing of it. You press on that tab for US, and you can see United States. Since we are technically still land connected with them through all the nations in, well, South, North, and Central America, and we're not at war with any one of them, we still have a land trade route, so we don't need any convoys. Convoys are used for, well, trading overseas where you don't have a land connection, and also some other things, but we don't have to mention it right now.
Okay.
And it automatically now selected a buy amount of 8 for 1 civilian factory. So we will give them, hey, US, you can use one of my civilian factories, and I will get 8 steel from it. It's nothing they can do about it. It's the open market. Like, they will just have, okay, I have 1 more civilian factory, but they can lose it at any point when you decide I don't want this trade anymore.
Okay.
So it's fully up to you, and you press send.
So it's just it's not even a case of like you're negotiating with them. They're just like, all right,
that's my steel. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
If they don't want you to use it, they can change your trade law to close trade, so they will get no bonuses, but they will have all their resources. Free dockyards. Same thing right here. You build boats, but here is where it's kind of similar to other games. When you build a boat, you get that unit. It's not that you build the different parts and then put it together to a boat. Here you build a boat and you have a boat.
Okay.
But yeah, let's build a boat. Let's you set something up. And let's actually build convoys. We might need a couple of them. So at the very top right here, so the ones we use for trading, it's also used for...
This one.
Yes, it's also used for transferring supply by sea. So it might be useful for us to have later. But let's just press right there and set up 2 factories on that. Since we will have the extra steel right now, it says we're missing 6, but as soon as we unpause, we're trading for 8. So we're going to be all good right there.
Cool.
Yeah. And then, god damn it, do we have time? Yes, I think we do. No divisions and basic training. So here comes the production plus the manpower put together. So we have 2 different division templates right now. If you press edit on that one. Yes, excellent. You can see that this is currently how the division will look on the map.
It's very different from other grand strategies.
Exactly. So this is your division, and you can customize how that division will look and what kind of equipment it will have.
Okay.
So base stats are something that, all units will have in some sense. The speed, HP, organization, we're going to go through each and every one of them once we actually go to war.
Okay.
But right now, base stats, combat stats, we don't have to look at that. We're going to look at the far right one right here, equipment cost.
Right.
Current manpower, 8,300 for every one of these you have on the map.
Cool.
Training time, it takes some time to train. Fuel capacity, we don't have any tanks or any motorized, so it doesn't cost any fuel. and fuel usage. If you have a very heavy tank, it will drain more fuel than a lighter tank. But infantry equipment and support equipment. And that we were producing in the production menu. So it needs a lot of infantry equipment. It just needs a few pieces of it. But where does those values come from? It comes from, if you look at the left side of this pop-up, you can see the different infantry buttons and the little, spade. So the spade is a support company, and that's where that entire tab in research, if you remember, different support companies that gave special modifiers to the rest of the units. And if you press on that one, actually you can see it right there as well. If you're back, hold over, you can see at the top, you see all the stats. So it's going to modify it in general. And at the bottom right there, you can see infantry equipment plus 10, support equipment plus 30. If you wouldn't have it there, then it would simply not cost any support equipment to produce.
Okay. And is that default that like our division that we have here will always come with an engineer company, like just by standard?
For this nation, yes.
Right. Okay. So it does differ. Okay.
Yeah. And like Germany, they have a completely different default setup. We kind of also base that upon how historically their divisions looked like.
All right.
And if you check a tiny bit to the right, you see the different infantry helmets. It basically costs 1,000 manpower, 100 infantry equipment. That's your most basic unit. Nothing special really. One of those divisions have now been told, you want to trade in this one division, and it's going to eventually come out on the map once it has. So you're currently producing equipment. Once it's produced, it's going to be transferred automatically right here. And it's slowly but steadily going to fill it up. And since you have available manpower, that's just going to instantly be filled up. Otherwise, if you don't have manpower, maybe raising the law, it will also slowly but steadily go. And when they have both manpower and equipment, they're also going to train in behind the scene. So they actually have a basic knowledge of how to actually use a weapon. You can see it currently if I take control right here. This is if you had several people, you can see the total need for these divisions are right there and separate. So let's just remove that one. But the total need, if you would have several divisions beneath here, and the current need for this one unit. So each and every one here would be one division that would be transferred over to the map. Equipment, 0. Manpower, 8,300. All good right there.
Yep.
And the support equipment, 0 to 30.
Would you be able to go back to the equipment menu, or rather the production menu, to show me how many are we making per... Okay, yeah, okay, great, okay. So now I have an idea of how long it would take to get 30 support and how long it would take to get 800. Okay, cool.
God, we have so many small things that I haven't even passed over. I hate it.
Well, no, that's you know the game, right? So that's why
No, it's so good. I was like, oh, of course, it's obvious, but no, this is why I love having you here right now. So you're picking up on those small things I missed right there. I'm like, of course, it's written there. I don't need to go through that.
And also it tells us right there how many we're actually looking to build for. So we have the 30 and the 804.
Yeah,
exactly.
Is
that right? Okay.
6.8. Cool. And exactly. Here, the current reinforcement needs for what you need. But if you wouldn't be producing any units, we have another tab in the far right here called logistics. This is the stockpile of equipment. So you can't stockpile resources, but you can stockpile equipment.
Okay.
So there's not any reason to ever I won't use this because I want to save this resource. It's always use all your factories. You're
always using them. Right.
Always use it for something. Yeah.
That takes a little bit of stress off because stockpiling resources can be quite stressful. You're trying to manage them, but if you literally have a set amount and you're like, okay, I know I'm using 8 aluminum for X, Y, Z. Okay, that's good.
It's stockpile equipment rather than resources.
Cool.
But we don't really have more time to run off right there. We do have an EU4 MP that's coming up right up there, but I like this. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well, Fiona. Was it kind of giving you a bit more grasp?
Yeah, I'm definitely a lot less scared now.
Yeah, it's actually only this tiny piece left. You have gone through most part of the game right now.
Okay, cool.
All that's left is kind of make an army, attack those guys.
All right.
Much. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this first look at Daniel tries to teach someone Hearts of Iron or something. I hope you very much enjoyed it.
All good.
Yeah, nice. We'll be back next week. I think we're going to continue as Brazil, but we'll look into that. Maybe we're actually going to begin as someone larger.